Alright guys, we are in Grow Garden, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys an upgraded trading guide for trading in Grow Garden. Now, if this video sounds interesting to you, please make sure to like and subscribe, and now let's get into the video. So, with the new trading update, trading has become a lot more common. Because before the trading update, you were able to exchange pets, just had to gift them. Now, that's when I had my last trading guide, and since then, there's been a lot more trades, a lot more demand for certain pets, and, well, a lot of other stuff. So today, I'm going to talk about all of that and show you guys what your pets are worth and what pets can get other pets. So this is our tier list right here. We have FF, F, E, D, C, B, A, S, and SS tier. Okay, now these are all the pets I will be showing you guys today. And the ones that might pop out to you is huge pets, which aren't pets with the mega mutation, but rather huge pets at birth, ascended, which is the mutation, age 75, and age 60 pets. Not every pet in the game is on here. Not every pet that's on this tier list I'm going to go through today, because some of these are just not really common. But we're going to start off with the capybara. In the capybara, I am putting in low E tier. And the reason it's going into low E tier is because I don't think it's FF tier, because capybara does have some use, and now with the new pancake stacks, I think people will want to see them more. But its value is really just not very good, and it really lacks value. So I'm putting it into E tier. But FF tier would be like a raptor. So I'm putting it in very low E tier. Actually, I'm going to put it in high F tier, because some other E tier pets might not go hand in hand with it. Now, the next pet we have on our list is huge pets, which I am putting into SS tier. I'm putting into SS tier because if you have a huge raccoon, not duped, hopefully, it's going to definitely have some significant value, and it would be worth more than a kitsune. So, depending on the huge pet, it could be worth more than a kitsune. But if you just have a huge bagel bunny like me, it's definitely not probably worth a kitsune, but closer to a raccoon. Now, because we're talking about kitsunes, let's talk about the kitsune. So many people have grinded up the Zen eggs. I had a very good method video. I highly recommend you guys checked it out. Now, obviously, it doesn't help, but if you are wondering what the method was, you can go out and check that video now. But there were so many kitsune's eggs being obtained using that method. So I am putting kitsune still in SS tier, just below the huge pets, because I do think there's going to be an overflow or overhaul, I'm not sure what the word is, of kitsunes coming in the next couple months. But I think it's going to calm down by Halloween event. Now, you know how I was talking about the raccoon compared to the kitsune? Well, we're going to put the raccoon in high S tier. And I'm not putting into SS tier, because get into SS tier is really, really hard. But I would put it into high S tier. Now, I would say you would need 3 to 4 kitsunes, or not kitsunes, raccoons to afford one singular kitsune, so it doesn't make sense having it in the same tier as SS tier. Speaking of kitsunes, we have the corrupt kitsune. The corrupt kitsune had dropped hard. There was the Kadama method, thanks to Crowblocks and other creators. I also made a video on it. There was just so many farmed. I stopped farming them after 4, because it was just, I knew it was not going to be worth anything, and it was smarter, to just farm up for the kitsunes. So I'm putting corrupted kitsune all the way in C tier. I just see it dropping even more as people realize, and then hopefully in the next couple of weeks it'll start become more steady. But it's still obtainable in the Robux shop, and I bet you there's hundreds of thousands still being obtained each day. So for now, it's only going to be going down. Next pet we have is the praying mantis, putting into F tier. It shouldn't even be on this tier list, but the only reason why I'm talking about it is because I got it when I first started playing the game, and I thought it was worth, like, you could have 2 of them, and it was worth a dragonfly. That was my thought process. because it's a 3%. Okay, maybe I could get a dragonfly with 2 of them. No one's doing that trade. Praying mantis are not worth anything. Useless ability while you could be using a copy bar, which is a lot easier from an easier egg to find. Next up, we have the seal. Now, sadly, this is about values and not what the value should be, so I am putting it into F tier. I don't see any demand for it, and I have done a lot of trading, and I don't see anybody going around, hey, who has a seal? No one says that, even though they should. And if you want to know why I like seals so much, you can check out one of my newer videos on my channel. I believe it's called Top 10 Pets That You Need to Use, because that video will show you why I have strong opinions on some pets. Next up, we have the blood kiwi. Now, the blood kiwi, I'm putting in very low B tier because, well, I feel that it is worth more than a kitsune if you actually are experiencing a proper trade, not some random kid who's like, oh, it's a kitsune, of course it's going to be worth so much. So that's why I'm putting blood kiwi into B tier, and I'm also putting blood hedgehog there and the blood owl. Now, this is lower end the B tier because next we have the queen bee. And the queen bee absolutely dominates B tier and kind of A tier. Very low A tier. It could be there. But no, I would put queen bee in B tier because you can't go exchange a blood kiwi for a queen bee. But you could exchange a blood kiwi plus a corrupted kitsune and maybe a small ad for a queen bee if you find the right person. But if it's an experienced trader, they're not going to want corrupted kitsune. Be careful and trade away your corrupted kitsunes now before they lose even more value. Next up, we have Mimic Octopus, which I am putting at close to the top of A tier. It is not as rare as a dragonfly. However, I would value it more than a dragonfly. But I'm going to say you don't see on paper. This is something you have to go experience and trade. And it's demand. The demand for a Mimic Octopus is so high. A demand for a Dragonfly is also so high. But so many endgame players rather have a Mimic Octopus because a Dragonfly can only do one thing while a Mimic Octopus can do multiple things. So I'm putting Mimic Octopus just barely below a Dragonfly. So let's just put that Dragonfly right above it. Well, I guess there is not a Dragonfly on this tier list, but it's just right before the Mimic Octopus if there was one. But now, this is going in between the Mimic Octopus and the Dragonfly, which will be the T-Rex. The T-Rex is a great pet, and it is a pet I feel every player should have at least one of. Obviously, that can't happen, but if you want to stand out, have T-Rexes. They are so very good. And just above that is the Spinosaurus, because I believe the Spinosaurus has a lot more demand. But I would say the Dragonfly is in between the Spinosaurus and T-Rex. You can probably trade a T-Rex for a Dragonfly if you find the right person, but you can't trade a T-Rex for a Spinosaurus, but you might be able to do a Queen Bee plus some C and D tier ads. Now, when I say ads, because sometimes people get confused, I am saying ads as in additional pets, not worth as much as the original main pet of the trade. For example, the main pet of a trade for a blood kiwi might be a corrupted kitsune because that's the best pet out of all the pets you're giving. The ads would be the not so good pets compared to the corrupted kitsune that you are already giving. Now, going into D tier, I am putting Dilophosaurus as the top of D tier. I feel it dominates D tier. You find the right person, you can probably trade 3 of those, 4 of those, 5 of those, 6 of those for a Queen Bee or a lower A tier pet, depending on the level, the size, and just how badly the person needs a Dilophosaurus. Now, the next one I have is the chicken jockey zombie, whatever you want to call it, guys. Comment down below what you call it, because me personally, I just call it not a great pet. Because I'm putting it into high B tier, not quite A tier, but I would say it's just above the Queen Bee. Taking a second look at it, I am actually going to put it right behind the Queen Bee, because the queen bee I just feel has a lot more demand. And not saying that the chicken zombie doesn't have demand, but the chicken jockey just has a hard time getting offers and trades for end game players who are the real players who can actually afford it. Now we have the Disco Bee, plopping it up into S tier. You can probably trade a Disco Bee in maybe small ads like a B tier or C tier ad for a raccoon. Depending on the player, maybe you can just do it trade for trade. But I would say a Queen Bee and a Disco Bee can probably get you a raccoon, unless the person you're trying to trade with is an absolute high baller or low baller, whatever. It's just tough trader in general. We have the Brontosaurus. Don't think I need to talk about this. It's just such a useful pet. You can't trade them hand in hand. I personally would take a seal plus capybara plus Bronto for a Dilophosaurus, but I also love seals just because of how useful the ability is. Coming down to our last few pets for the tier list, and I'm going to go a little quicker on these because they're a little less explanatorial. Yeah. Ostrich, F tier. Behind, I would put it ahead of the capybara. It just has a little more demand. Overall, not the best pet. Doesn't go trade for trade with any of the D tier pets. I am putting Bear Bee in E tier. Has some good demand because everybody thinks it's a cute pet. And I have to be honest, I really like how it looks, so I am putting it into E tier. Now, guys, do not hate on me for this one, but it's going to be the Red Fox and where I'm placing it. I am placing it between the Brontosaurus and the Dilophosaurus. I'm not putting in the C tier like my last trading video because I don't think it has enough value to go hand in hand with a blood kiwi or anything like that. If you can find that trade, great, but no one wants red foxes unless you are between that new player, intermediate player, and just someone who plays the game for fun, who's a little better than all of those. Those are the type of people, I know, I just listed a bunch of stuff, hopefully that made sense, but those are the people who would want a red fox. An endgame player understands that a red fox is not going to move well and how trash the ability is. Now we have the butterfly. I was not going to forget the butterfly, but it definitely belongs in the S tier, just behind the Disco Bee, because the Disco Bee is significantly rarer than the butterfly, but both of them are great pets, and I personally think the butterfly has a better ability, but that's just me. So we're putting the butterfly into S tier. Oh, and what you can probably trade for the butterfly, this is what an offer I'd give, would be a Spino plus Queen Bee and possibly other ads, depending on who you are trading, the level, the age, the size, the mutation on it, but generally that's what I would give. I have the Ankylosaurus. I am putting it in the same tier as the Corrupted Kitsune because it is a 1% pet. It is significantly rare, not a ton of demand because of its ability, but I do feel you find the right person who actually understands what it's doing, who likes to be in public servers, you can definitely get it for a Corrupted Kitsune, possibly a Blood Kiwi, depending on who you are trading. Kappa. This is the second rarest from the Zen Egg. That's the only reason why it's going to be on this value list. And I am putting it in F tier. Actually, no, I'm going to put it in E tier behind Bear Bee. I would trade my Kappa for a Bear Bee. Not sure what others would do. But I know for sure what others would do is not trade it for a Bronto. Not trade it for a Red Fox. But people do value it more than what its actual value is. And that is why I'm putting it into E tier. You can probably trade a Kappa for an ostrich or two, or a seal, or multiple duplicates of the F tier pets. Now the last four pets I will be talking about is the newer pets and the Raju. And now the reason I'm talking about the Raju as the newer pets is because a lot of people don't understand the value of a Raju. I feel like I can tell you guys the value, but it's complicated. It is a valuable pet, but what it lacks the most is demand. When you have a value, you can have a valuable pet that lacks demand, and it's still a valuable pet. And that sounds very complicated, and I'm not trying to overcomplicate it. but it is a rare pet. It was the rarest pet from the shop. Shop was only there for 1 week that it was actually stocked, and I don't believe it was actually ever stocked, and I think you only could reset the shop to get it or the route of Robux. Any pet that you can spend Robux on obviously isn't going to be an S tier or a high A tier pet, but it does have very good value. Now, depending on who you are trading, though, if you are trading someone who understands rarity, understands patience, I can put this above a blood kiwi next to a queen bee. Couldn't get a queen bee, but maybe two of them could. Or I am putting it into D tier. So because of that, I am putting it in the C tier because depending on who you're trading, it fluctuates a ton. Me personally, if someone has a Raju comes to me, I already have 8 of them. I've been trading. I don't want any more. But if I was down to my last 1 or 2, I definitely give closer to a corrupt kitsune in ads. And we have the sushi bear. I am just putting it in behind the kappa. It's not extremely rare, but it's rarer than the kappa. So I'm going to put it actually above the kappa. But I don't think it's going to really be going up, and I think it's going to probably be completely off the tier list. And I'm just putting it on there because it is a new pet. Same with the mole. I'm putting in high F tier. And then we have the mochi mouse, which is a complicated pet, and it's probably going to have completely different values in like a couple hours. But I do feel like it is a pretty decent pet, so I'm going to put it right in front of the blood kiwi. I wouldn't say it's easy to get, but if you know what you're doing, it's easy to get, and they are just great for grinding, so there's always going to be a demand for it. And then we have our last 2 pets, the French fry ferret, which I actually just got my first one today, because I have been hatching these eggs very slow, because I am still trying to get a kitsune. So I am putting the French fry ferret in A tier, round A tier. I'm not really sure by the time this video is going to be out if this is going to be an accurate placement of it, but I am going to put it above the Spinosaurus. Not quite S tier. It definitely was S tier when it came out, but now I would put it in high A tier. And last but not least, the spaghetti sloth. Just behind the chicken jockey. It could maybe go hand in hand with a queen bee, but you probably have to add something decent like a Dilophosaurus. Now, those are all the pets I have for you guys for today's video. If you guys found this video useful or helpful, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.